results. Everyone is happy. Your Excellency, I will end there and kindly rise up and put your hands together as we welcome His Excellency the President to address us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please, let's take our seats. Asante sana. I have literally made my statement, but let me say this. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today marks the 4th time that I have come to ring the bell here at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. And this occasion comes 3 years and 4 months since I first came here to launch the enhanced Nairobi Securities Exchange marketplace on the 7th of October 2022. On that day, I promised that the government would be bringing the Kenya Pipeline Company to the stock exchange. It may have taken longer than I had planned, but today that moment is finally here. Ladies and gentlemen, the Kenya Pipeline Company IPO is the first privatization listing in nearly 2 decades at this bourse. The previous one being Safaricom, which was listed in June 2008. But there is a deeper significance to today's listing. If you ask many Kenyans today, few can point to a specific national asset or project that has been built using proceeds from the sale of government stocks in companies such as KCB 1988, Kenya Airways in 1996, KenGen in 2006, or Safaricom in 2008. While those transactions helped deepen our capital markets and broaden ownership as well as future privatization, will provide capital to the National Infrastructure Fund, which I signed into law yesterday on Monday, February 9th, 2026. This is momentous because it marks a strategic shift in how Kenya finances development, moving away from a framework in which infrastructure is primarily financed by debt or taxes, to which infrastructure becomes an inevitable asset capable of attracting both domestic and international long-term capital. Ladies and gentlemen, some have suggested that rather than sell these public assets, we should keep leveraging on the dividends they generate. Others argue that if we must pursue privatization, then the funds raised should be used primarily to reduce public debt. While these views are legitimate, they do not answer the fundamental question before us. How do we deploy our public assets in a way that delivers the greatest and most enduring value for the people of Kenya, both today and for the generations that will come after us? Allow me to demonstrate how the approach we are adopting enables us not only to finance critical infrastructure, but also manage our national debt more responsibly. First, without the proceeds of privatization, we would be faced with 2 difficult choices: either to slow down investment in critical infrastructure or to continue financing commercially viable projects through additional government borrowing. Neither option serves our long-term interests, and both are suboptimal and ultimately counterproductive. Let us assume, as I said earlier, that we borrowed an amount equivalent to the proceeds of the IPO at, say, 12.5% interest rate. We would pay an annual interest of 13.5 billion every year, which is nearly 4 times the 3 or 4 billion dividend that the 65% Kenya Pipeline government shareholding would have continued earning the exchequer. In other words, while the annual dividends provide a steady stream of revenue, they are far too modest to finance the transformative projects our country so seriously requires. Additionally, our goal is to leverage every shilling that we put in the National Infrastructure Fund at least between 10 and 12 times. In other words, the 106 billion from the Kenya Pipeline IPO will enable us to finance up to 1.2 trillion infrastructure in one cycle. This, for instance, is the capital we need to do many things in Kenya, as I have said. This 106 billion that we have raised from this IPO actually guarantees us access to 1.2 trillion resources that will help turn around a lot of infrastructure programs that are in our books. Ladies and gentlemen, as we rely more on capital markets to finance our infrastructure, the NSE will be a critical partner. Indeed, I was here 2 years ago to launch the trading of the 3 billion Sukuk bond, a first in Kenya, for the military housing project under our affordable housing program. And I opened the houses the other week just to demonstrate to you that it works. Many military people now have decent homes. In June 2025, I came back to launch the trading of the 44 billion Talanta Stadium infrastructure bond. In the course of this year, we will be bringing to the market the Road Maintenance Levy Fund, securitization bond, that have enabled us to solve the pending bills crisis that had settled road projects, that has stalled road projects everywhere in Kenya. That Roads Maintenance Levy Fund has raised for us 175 billion. And we will be bringing it here just to finalize so that people can trade as well. Put together, these transactions add up to a total of 335 billion of budget infrastructure financing. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, today's listing is a powerful signal of the growing strength, confidence, and maturity of our economy. It further represents the continuation of the economic reforms we have undertaken to stabilize our economy and restore fiscal discipline. Over the past few years, we have deliberately worked to bring down inflation, stabilize our currency, moderate interest rates, and sustain economic growth. I am particularly encouraged by several milestones achieved through this IPO. This has been Kenya's first fully electronic public offering, with all applications submitted digitally, making it a truly paperless and modern IPO. It attracted more than 70,000 ordinary Kenyan investors, achieving one of its most important objectives: broadening ownership and giving more citizens the opportunity to participate directly in the growth of our national enterprises. Equally significant is the participation of the government of Uganda and the government of Rwanda, and we want to thank them immensely for showing confidence in our country. This now makes Kenya Pipeline a strategic national enterprise and a regional one at that, and reflects the deepening economic integration within the East African community. This transaction was also the first government-led IPO undertaken under the new legal framework established by the Privatization Act, which I signed into law last year. The process has been conducted with full cabinet and parliamentary oversight, public participation, and strict compliance with capital markets, sectoral, and competition regulations. In doing so, we have strengthened transparency, accountability, and public confidence in the management and strategic divestiture of government assets. There is no dark corner anymore. There is no shadows in this transaction. Cabinet is involved, Parliament is involved, public participation is undertaken, and it is on the sound footing of law. It's no longer something in some policy. It is anchored firmly in law. This is indeed a very significant moment for our country. With this listing, we are taking charge of our own economic destiny and laying a firm foundation for accelerated national transformation. We are demonstrating that Kenya has the confidence. We also have the institutions and the capital markets to mobilize its own resources and invest boldly into the future. By unlocking the value of our national assets and directing it towards transformative infrastructure, we are building a stronger, more resilient economy, one driven by our own ingenuity, our own enterprise, and our own determination to secure prosperity for our generation and the generations to come. I am very confident about the future of not just the Nairobi Securities Exchange, but the future of our economy and the future of our country. Together, we can make it happen. Thank you very much. I wish you the very best.